What is up, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Whiplash as part of the Dynasty Gens Network, but the only redraft show on the Dynasty Gens Network. You will notice Roxanne is looking rather sickly today. She was unable to be with us as she's prepping for a Metallica show. I believe she's not in the show, but so joining me today, though, is a very special guest, karaoke singer extraordinaire, hot diggity dog-a-day, a Joey Chestnut protege, the protector of all that's good and ratchet. Mr. Joe Frick is here. Mr. Joe Frick. Joe, say hi to the people. How you doing, man?
Hey, Samwise, always a pleasure. Yeah, it's good to be here. All of those things mostly true. I would not consider myself a glizzy gladiator, but I do think that it's important that we brought our hero, our champion, Joey Chestnut, back into the realm. So it gives us something to look forward to, and almost less than 2 weeks now. But yeah, just ready to talk some ball. I'm not much of a dynasty guy myself, so this is a good show for me to be on here, and I'm loving all the graphics. I was telling you before the show, whoever's doing this stuff, it's sick.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love them too, and I love. I'm getting more and more used to our little intro there, which I get a kick out of every time.
Yeah, that was great.
Before we get going, I'd be remiss if I didn't, mention to do all the usual YouTube things. You can like the video even while you're in here. If you close the chat, you can like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Both of those things help us get seen, help us in the algorithm quite a bit. And you can find Joe and I both on Twitter. You can find me at Buy and Sell You, and Joe is at Joe FRK, all one word. So you can find us there, and this show throughout the season, every Tuesday we're going to do a whip around the league. We'll have waivers, we'll have starts and sits, we'll have all the latest news, injury stuff. At times we'll take questions from the chat. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to this because it's going to get a little crazier in the season. So, but it's the off season now, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. So we're going to do what we always do, kick it off with a little bit of news. Joe, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's get it, man. There's always something happening in the league, truthful or not. But
there is. We touched on quite a bit of news last week. The big Rodgers signing and that kind of stuff. And I should mention that Joe is a Pittsburgh fan.
Hey, man, you got to have winners in your corner, Sam. I know you don't know what that's like. Hey, man, you need it somewhere. You see that Super Bowl newspaper right there? It was a fun time. Got to go to the parade.
From like 60 years ago.
No, that was my senior year of high school, which hopefully wasn't 60 years ago.
So that was like last year.
No.
So we're gonna do some news, and then in the second half of the program, we're gonna get to some guys that we think managers need to be pumping the brakes on. Everybody's kind of got rookie fever right now, and there's some players I think that fall into that realm a little bit that people shouldn't be jumping all over, or at least do so. You got to look before you leap. So let's start off with I'm trying to read my own chicken scratch. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, we do have one little tidbit of information. He was on the Pat McAfee show, and he said he was pretty sure, because that's typical Rodgers, he's pretty sure that 2025 is going to be his last season, and that's why he only signed a 1-year contract. And he doesn't want life in the public eye when he's done. So supposedly we will not see him when he retires. Joe, what do you think about this?
I mean, the quarterback carousel is nowhere near being done in Pittsburgh, right? So it makes sense that you get a guy on his way out. If you think back a couple years ago, there was that moment when he was in Green Bay where something happened. I think that he had audibled into something. Tomlin calls the timeout. He looks at Tomlin. Tomlin looks at him, and it was like, all right, game recognized game. So they've always had this like playful relationship. It's funny to see that this is kind of where he's ended up at the end of his career. It's hilarious looking back at the news in the offseason. Like, is he going to pick the Giants or the Steelers? And it's like, come on, guys. Like, who's going to pick the Giants willingly unless you're going to get a stupid amount of money, which he wasn't going to get? Will he play beyond this season? It's hard to say. I don't think that it's in the long-term plans for the Steelers. It seems like they've been trying to accumulate draft capital aggressively in the last 2 drafts. I think they have 10 top 3 picks in next year's draft. So it seems like they're trying to put the pieces together to trade up potentially next year. Not saying that they would be able to use those mid-round picks, but it softens the blow when you're having to give up those big pieces to move up. But we'll see what happens. It's the Rodgers way, right? He likes that limelight. He likes to do this. It's
the Rodgers show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love
maybe he's just retiring from the Pat McAfee show. Like maybe that's what he
and I love how he's pretty sure this is so he left the door like creaked open a little bit just so they can come back and torment us again this time next year.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where he's going to go or if he's going to go anywhere. We'll stay with 2 former Steelers. I actually think this is kind of funny. Deontay Johnson says that he's quite sure that Kenny Pickett is going to win the number 1 quarterback job in Cleveland. Kenny Pickett, he of the 8-inch hands. What did he say? He said, yeah, we're going to roll with Kenny. Okay. You said it. You said it, Deontay. What do you think? Is Deontay just crazy?
Well, I feel like that's an unfair question. I don't know if you saw the report that came out today, but he said that he refused to go into a game in Baltimore last season because his body was cold in a 40-degree temperature game. A guy that kind of bounced around the different teams last year, you would think would have a little bit more urgency, but he does have that rapport with Kenny Pickett. I can't say too much about Kenny because I did sip the Kool-Aid last year and buy a Kenny Pickett jersey after the preseason. So that's just sitting in the depths of my closet along with the Mason Rudolph jersey that I might have. Couple of other things that really didn't go so well. Hello, Chase Claypool. Hello, Juju Smith-Schuster. Hello to all these guys. Like, I'm pretty much like, if I buy your jersey, your career is essentially done. But I think if you look at the Cleveland room, it could be anybody, but are you really excited about any of them? I don't know. Like, Shador has probably gotten another speeding ticket since the last time that he's gotten a speeding ticket. What's up, Angie?
He did, actually.
Yeah, so he's had 2 already. That's probably not good for your 5th-round pick. Dylan Gabriel, who knows? Like, he's like the most like unknown person out of all of this Cleveland stuff. They have to like him enough to give a 3rd-round pick. You have Kenny, who we've seen what he is. I'm not really too impressed with what he's capable of. And then you still have 2 more guys on top of that. To me, it's probably I would play Joe Flacco. He seems like the best option. And but who knows if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I like this this comment here. If Kenny P wins the quarterback job, Cleveland is fucked.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're trying to get a top pick in a QB heavy draft in 2026, you could do worse than playing Kenny Pickett.
Right, that's true. That's true.
So
And I will say, since you just touched on it, that Shador does indeed have two parking tickets, two speeding tickets. He went 96 in a 60 and 101 like 2 weeks later. And he had already not shown up for a court date for the 96, I believe. There's already people talking about, the Browns could save 14 million if they just cut him, if they just cut bait. I don't think they're going to do that. Do you?
I mean, I don't think so. The other one that you skipped is he went 144 and a 32 in the
Oh,
draft,
yeah.
which was one of the funniest things I saw on Twitter, by the way. But you would think, like, after that humbling experience, that he would kind of like, all right, I need to sit down, go to work, do all of these things, right? I think what's interesting about the Shador situation is that, like, his dad was is a very charismatic, aggressive kind of guy. And that aggressiveness and that, like, cockiness, like, it was something that was earned. Like, you
Right.
had no questions. Like, even if Dion was going to act like that, it was very much like, well, I'm the best. I'm playing multiple sports. I'm doing all of these things. Like, sure. Right. Wow. The burning building. I love that. I mean, what a guy.
Both,
That's just,
both times.
yeah, that
Both
changes
times.
everything. It's been so hot in Cleveland this week. I fully believe it. Like, my air conditioner just shut off. It was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too
Yeah,
hot.
I can't hang. The Mel Kiper's probably beside himself that Shadur's still doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, I tend to. There's a lot of people trying to make that case that they could save the money and just cut bait, and he'll end up catching on somewhere else, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But also, Cleveland has had just an enormous amount of tolerance when it comes to their quarterback situation. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson. I mean, I know they gave him tons of money, so they're not ready to see those dollar bills walk out the door. But they've just had so much tolerance, which is kind of surprising because you'd think Kevin Stefanski, of all people, would be one of the guys that's like, no, this is not good for the team.
I heard something that was kind of a what's the word, like a conspiracy theory, that the
Mm-hmm.
league forced the Browns to take Shador as a punishment for the contract that they gave to Deshaun Watson.
Get out. That is a conspiracy. That's totally a conspiracy theory, but it
Yeah,
would be really funny.
it would be hilarious. They're like, all right, like, if you're gonna throw this guy up on the injured reserve, you have to draft this guy.
Like, what if they like called him on the phone and be like, this pick is Shador? And they're like, no, that's not who we're taking. And they're like, this pick
The pick is in.
is, yeah, exactly. Boom, ding, 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 ding. Um, well, because all the news seems like it's in the AFC North, even though this doesn't really affect fantasy players that you would draft, I do want to mention that Jair Alexander landed with the Ravens. He is now playing alongside Hamilton, who's a badass
Monster.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of great safeties, and Marlon Humphrey, cornerback's no slouch either. Um, so, that's at the very least, if you're way, if you dive into the stats and everything in fantasy football, when you're figuring out your lineup each week, I wonder if Baltimore's going to end up being one of those teams where, if you've got a so-so, like if I have a Jamar Chase, I'm going to play him. But if I have a so-so guy and I'm maybe teetering between two people and somebody's going against that secondary, maybe I'm going to leave him on the bench.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that, for one, it makes you really excited about Derrick Henry again. Not that you shouldn't have been otherwise, but it's like, all right, they should be up in games. if he can stay on the field, obviously a great ad for that defense, which is really frustrating to say as a Steelers fan. I think that you were able to get him at the cost that it did because of that injury history. And I also don't think that he had much care to really explore other teams. So that forced the hand a little bit as far as how much money he was able to command. But if you look at like what he's done the last couple years, I mean, he can be a lockdown guy. He's not somebody that's going to shift into the slot so much, but on the boundary, it's something that you're definitely going to want. So great get for the Ravens. Obviously, they're going to be all in, and they've kind of been knocking on the door, but they've struggled to kind of get over that hump. So I think it's a good move for them. They're obviously in pole position in the AFC North. I think they're the most complete team in the AFC North, and they're one of the most
Hold on.
What you're going to be starting at nose tackle for the Bengals, dude? Come on.
I might be.
You
I
might
might be better than anybody they get.
And you know what? You'll probably have to hold out because they won't pay you enough.
Oh my. Okay. Low blow. Low blow. I'm going to start using. I have a terrible towel too. You don't want to know what I wipe with it.
Hey, that's fun. You know what? The curse is real. So let it happen. And you know what? If it doesn't work for you in Cincinnati, you probably could be the starting quarterback there because they're just going to hand it off to Judkins every time.
Moving on. Did you know that the I believe it's the Giants signed a new kicker named Harrison Mavis or Mevis? Did you know that?
I did see the report. Yes,
he is 5'11", pushing 250.
Thicker kickers, baby. That's what we're talking about.
Like, they're calling him with 2 C's, the thicker kicker.
I love it.
I mean, you got Dicker the kicker, you got the thicker kicker. What else can we get out of that? We need to find another icker.
Yeah, I mean, you had Presley Harvin, the punter for the Steelers. They called him the thicker kicker for a bit. He didn't really last so well. He was a really good punter in college, but struggled with consistency once he got to the league. I had some personal stuff with like family passing and stuff like that. So hopefully he's able to get it situated. But hey, if you're going to be just drilling punts and drilling kicks, like why not? Like you're standing around most of the game. The insulation's good for you when you're in an outdoor stadium like you are in New York. Let's see what he can do with it. I'm excited for the guy.
Yeah, I see you, Mike, that I need some SPF on this side of my face, but I'm just rubbing in the fact that I'm sitting here with the door open and it's a beautiful sunny Southern California day. So
jealous.
I'm okay with it. It'll go away soon. Don't worry. If it's distracting you because I look, too awesome. Okay, last but not least, last thing I've got on my list here. I came across a couple people talking about because Anthony Richardson is now saying that his shoulder is healed, is good to go. He will be there for training camp. That notwithstanding, Daniel Jones is trying to run away with the job. He's already way ahead of him. And a lot of people are saying that if Richardson can't come into training camp and win that job, this is last year in Indianapolis. And in my opinion, possibly the last year in the NFL. What do you think?
Well, I think a GM's favorite pastime is to take a look at a broken quarterback and say, you know what? I can fix him. We saw Trey Lance get traded to the Cowboys. We have seen time and time again these players with this raw talent. Like I think that he'll get another contract. It won't be as a starter, but think about like a situation where you could have him be like the backup for, say, Lamar Jackson, where you could pretty much keep the same system and get after it. And I think that's one of the most interesting things that we see about the way that quarterbacks are developed in the NFL today. I don't think that the Colts have necessarily put in a system that has maximized the strengths of Richardson. That being said, he struggled a lot with accuracy. There's a lot of times where it's just been like, okay, like this isn't going to work. But you've seen it with these freakishly athletic quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson, a couple other guys, where it's like they're trying to mold them in what you think the NFL quarterback should be, and it just doesn't line up with what they do best. And then they
Mhm.
struggle for it. And if you're not going to implement an offense that works best for them, that hubris is not only probably going to get you fired as an offensive coordinator, but ultimately it's going to derail the career for that QB as well. And you see, even with Fields, do you think that the Jets are just going to overhaul their entire offensive strategy for a guy that's on a 2-year deal for $30 million? Probably not. Richardson will be in the same boat. And I think that's why Baltimore has been so successful with Lamar, is that from day one, they pretty much said, hey, we're fully committing to this. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And
Yeah.
you don't really see that kind of commitment from a lot of people. But you know where he could end up next year if the chips don't fall the way they want to? You could see him in a place like Pittsburgh, where it's like, hey, we got nothing else to lose. Let's just see what happens with this guy that was taken 4th overall.
Every time Pittsburgh drafts a new or gets a new quarterback now, there's a little part of me that kind of giggles a little bit. And
You
like
mean that
Aaron
Will
Rodgers,
Howard isn't
well,
Tom Brady
listen,
already?
Aaron Rodgers didn't have a horrible year last year, so he could fully come out and beat the Bengals. I totally, especially with the way our defense is. But nothing gives me more pleasure than thinking that we get to beat up on Aaron Rodgers.
But like, just think like if you're thinking about like what the Steelers record is going to be, like how much closer is that 9-8 finish? Like as soon as you heard the Rodgers signing, it was like, I might as well just put the house on 9-8, like right now. Cause you know, that's
Right.
where it's going to end up. You probably would end up with the same record as Mason Rudolph because Mike Tomlin is still a good coach. Questionable GM, but from a coaching perspective, I would say that like, hey, like he knows what he's doing. But I'm like, yeah, 9-8, 10-7, 7th seed blown out in the first round. Like that script's already written.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, always just hovering really close to that 500 mark. Okay. So we've got, we were saying that we would get into some rookies here and talk about maybe some that need to be pumping the brakes, and maybe there'll even be a non-rookie in here, or a pseudo rookie, if you will. But speaking of rookies, if for anyone that has not come on board for Fast Draft yet, it is absolutely awesome. And there's a rookie onlys draft that you can do, which is a lot of fun. I mean, you're talking about a much smaller player pool. You're not making rankings of the entire NFL to get your lineups. It's cheap to play. The payouts are awesome. And I'm gonna let the Podfather talk about it, and then when we come back, we'll start talking about who to pump the brakes on.
It is a damn shame we only get to do a handful of rookie drafts every season. After doing all this rookie analysis, you want more bites at the apple. And that's why we have the Fast Draft Origins tournament. You draft 6 rookies, the top 4 into your lineup. It's best ball style, and it's just $5 to win a $5,000 first prize. So if you're passionate about Taj Brooks or RJ Harvey, get on Fast Draft and use your favorite creator's code to get a $50 deposit match. A $50 deposit match to go make thousands of dollars drafting the rookies that you know and love.
He loves that apple. He loves that apple. And speaking of which, the code to get that matching donation or match your money is WHIP, WHIP, and it'll actually take you all the way up to $100 in match. And at $5 a game, man, you can get a lot out of that, and you're not entering the same contest over and over again. It's a bunch of different contests at once. Have you tried it out yet, Joe?
I'm not much of a kind of like best ball guy, so I haven't yet. I might have to dip my toes in just for for the cause, but for me, it's like I'm a slut for the waiver wire. That is where like I thrive. It's just like I'm picking up people, I'm dropping them. It's like the best ball stuff. It's like, yeah, like I can throw $100 at something and be like, okay, like let's see what happens. I hope I get lucky. But it's like watching my team deteriorate to injury and just being like, I can't do anything about this. Like it just kills me on the inside.
Right. Well, like I said, the rookie one is a good way to start because you only end up with 6 guys and 4 of them play each
Is
week.
that like a standard for fast draft? Is around like 6 people in a lineup, or what does that look like?
Yeah. There's because there's the rookies. There's also a flex 4, which is you draft 6 NFL players, and 4 get the start each week based on their scoring. And then there is also a D up for all the IDP people out there too. So there's a number of different things, and the cool thing is you don't feel like you're wasting money because they're not expensive games. You know what I mean? So anyway, so with that, let's talk about pumping the brakes a little bit. I think I brought some people here. Did you bring some people?
I got some people. I feel bad. Like I hate being well, that's not true. I love being a hater. But like for these young people getting started in their careers, they've already accomplished more than I probably ever will.
Right.
They could still get there, but this year I'm not so convinced.
All right. Let's well, why don't you start us off then, will you?
Okay. So rookie number 1, third round pick. I thought that he was a steal in the draft. I think that he's going to be a very productive player in the league if he's able to clean up route running a little bit, get rid of those like concentration drops that you saw in college. But my first pump the brakes for the evening is going to be Kyle Williams for the New England Patriots. So if we look at the depth chart for New England right now, there's a lot of bodies and a lot of uncertainty in where those bodies are going to fall. So Stephon Diggs is going to be the alpha of that offense whenever he returns from injury. If he's not able to go week 1, it's probably going to be pretty early in the season. Lock him in. They paid him good money. Like he's not going anywhere, regardless if kind of the fall off that we were expecting just because of age, he's going to be there. That's going to be the number 1 guy. Will likely be the number 1 target in that offense. Then you still have Pop Douglas, Mac Hollins, who I don't really think about from a fantasy perspective, but a fantastic blocker, special team sort of guy, has a very clear-cut role on the team. You still have Kayshon Boutte, you have Kendrick Bourne, and then you have the 2 rookies last year who around this time last year, everybody's like, oh, Javon Baker, Polk, like you have to have these guys. They did absolutely nothing, right? So if you look at the target leaders from last season, no Patriot cleared 100 targets. So Hunter Henry led the team with 98. Demario Douglas was second with 88. And then the second best receiver as far as targets was Kayshon Boutte with 68. So if you're saying, hey, like Kyle Williams can be the guy, 1, where are they going to slot him into the lineup? 1. 2, how does he overcome these different players that do have key roles? And then here's a stat that I'm going to leave with you, and then I'm going to shut up. But there's a guy I follow, Joseph Bryan from Quality Stats, like Koala Bear. So he does some projections on what he thinks are going to be kind of like passing rates and plays per game, which is, I think if you're talking earlier about like, hey, you want to do like fast draft, you want to do these things, like those are good ways that you can find value is like, hey, like here's projections on plays. Are they going to be a pass heavy team, run heavy team, things like that. So based on data from previous years, what they're expecting to roll into this year. So Joseph Bryan is projecting 57 plays per game for the New England offense, which would be the 3rd lowest in the league. And only 58% of those plays are going to be pass plays. So we're going to have a lower volume passing offense being one of the lower playing teams in the league with a guy that's not necessarily going to have a ton of volume. I get that he's not going high in drafts, but I would rather target someone maybe like a Tyler Algier as like a handcuff or a potential lottery ticket if Bijan were to go down, or like a Cedric Tillman who we saw have those flashes. And then Jamie in the comments just brought up a great point too. They also drafted Travion Henderson, who's going to catch passes in the backfield as well. Ramondre Stevenson had like 40 targets last year. You would expect something similar, if not more, from Henderson. So it's going to be tough for him to be fantasy relevant year one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I two things hit me while you were saying that. The situation with the wide receivers there is not unlike what's going on in Green Bay. There's no, I mean, obviously they got Matthew Golden, they got Savion Williams. Those are second and third round picks. So obviously they're trying to fix the receiving core, but the jury's out on where they're going to go. You know what I mean? It'd be even worse if Christian Watson was on the field right now. He's not, but Dobbs, I think, is probably out of a job, but I say probably. I mean,
Sure.
there's no way there's going to be so many of them. I think Green Bay has 11 receivers on their depth chart, including Christian Watson. And that's just absurd. I mean, they're just going to be trying to whittle that down. And obviously they can't send Golden or Williams to the practice squad. Somebody will snatch them up right away. I can't remember what the other thing I was thinking about that you mentioned is but yeah, man, I was married to Javon Baker last year. I thought
he was so fun to watch at UCF. It was like, I want to see this guy do well.
Yeah. I mean, his contested ball abilities were so great, and everybody was talking about Jalen Polk, and I just kept going, no, Javon Baker. Well, it turns out neither, or at least neither so far. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it's all going to depend on who Drake May finds a rapport with there, and that's going to be, who kind of sticks their head out of the grouping. Okay, I'll give you one. I'm going to start off with the guy on the thumbnail. That is Mr. Cam Scatabo from the Giants. There are a lot of people that just assume Scatabo is going to walk right in and take that starting job away from Tyrone Tracy. And I got news for you, man. If you look at their athleticism scores, Tyrone Tracy blows him away.
Yeah.
And I know he didn't have the most impressive year last year, but it's also the Giants. And really Neighbors was the only thing worth talking about last season. But Scatabo ran like a 4.65 40. Tyrone Tracy runs like a 4.4.
He should have never ran that 40 anyway. If you know that you're that slow, just skip it. It's like when you are trying to get a job out of college, you have bad grades, you just don't put it on the resume.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there were other reports in private workouts that he ran a 4.71, and then some people said, it was a 4.58. But the best I saw was somebody said, like, yeah, it was like 4.5. And I was like, okay, you're making that up. But yeah, I don't think I like Scatabo. I think he's got some burst to him, and he's certainly strong. He's low to the ground. He's heavy. I think he can plow through guys. He's be the perfect goal line back, to be honest with you. Not terribly unlike Blake Corum, really, although we never saw that come to fruition last year.
Sure, yeah.
But I just see, and Tyrone Tracy, I don't have the ADP in front of me, but he is going way down. I mean, he's Scadabo's going a solid, I think, 3 rounds earlier than Tracy.
Tracy's currently at 103.5 on underdog, and Scadabo is 107. So they're pretty much the same.
Oh, okay. They're about the same then.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just don't see him. He'd have to take that job from Tyrone Tracy, and I don't think that's going to happen. They can both catch the ball, which is good because that's what the Giants are going to need
Sure.
out of the backfield just as much as running. But Tyrone Tracy was a wide receiver first. So even though Scatabo catches the ball well, I have no doubt that Tyrone Tracy probably is better at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's time to pump the brakes on just assuming that Scatabo is going to go right in. Also the guy had 2 years at Sacramento State, and then a year in the Pac-12 where he had like 780 yards, and then it was only last year, his senior year, that he had 1171 and just a plethora of touchdowns.
Yeah, and I mean he really balled out in the playoffs as well. I think that did a lot for him. So
Yeah.
you're right. He definitely has that shiftiness, but bowling over college athletes versus you go up against someone like Robert Spillane, who's like one of the few people that stuck Derrick Henry. Are you going to break that tackle?
Yeah,
Maybe.
no.
Probably not.
No, and he's small enough that the guy could probably pick him up and and take him backwards.
Yeah. Did you see the clip of him? He was on, I forget whose podcast. Oh, it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they were like showing all of these players, and like he knew like none of them.
Oh, really?
It was crazy. And it was like big time players too, from like not so recent or like not so distant memory. And it was every player. They're like, no, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I was like, come on, man. Like, it was tough.
Well, that's like, nowadays they talk to a bunch of college players and they ask them about some of the all-time greats, and they don't know anybody that hasn't played in the last 5 years.
Right. Yeah. It's scary
You
time.
know what I mean? I'm surprised
TikTok
they even
brain
know who
rot.
Jerry Rice is.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. All right. You got a number 2?
I got number 2. It is going to be somebody that's a 4th round running back. So we'll stick with the rookie running back thing here. There is a lot of optimism about this offense because of the head coaching change that they have this year. They added a big weapon in the first round that's supposed to be playing both sides of the football, so that's really cool. But for me, I think that we need to pump the brakes a little bit on Bevia Tootin. So if
which one?
On Tootin, Bevia Tootin.
Oh,
yeah. So the big thing for me is going to be the fumbling issues that he has. So in the last 2 seasons in college, he had 9 fumbles. So that's not great. And then just to make matters worse, like, that like your coaches saw this, you heard about it. Very first practice carry fumble. Right. So that's just super tough. But
that's not how you endear yourself to your new team.
No, man. It's like showing up the first day of school, you're late, like you're trying to find a seat, and then like you just like miss the chair and just like fall. Like it's tough. It's just not what you want to do. Like everybody, like you're the chair guy. Like that's just not good. But beyond that, beyond the fumbling thing, there's a couple other things that I think are more prevalent, I would say. And so the first is going to be Travis Etienne. So a lot of people are down on Etienne. They're pointing to like his yards per carry being under 4 the last couple of seasons. He's been banged up. Even looking at his rookie year, he had the Liz Frank. He hasn't really lived up to the first round running, or I guess he was early second round, but he was talked about as potentially being a first round running back in that same year with Najee Harris. I know people in Pittsburgh thought that maybe even he should have been the pick that they took because he is more of a pass catcher all around back, and Najee was more of the workhorse plotter kind of type. But 2023, he was RB3, which obviously doesn't mean anything to the Jaguars, but the key thing is he had 73 targets. He has that clear ability to catch the ball. We've seen those breakaway runs, doing all of those great things. And more importantly, the guy who runs the team, who got all the money, who has the contract, is his boy from Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, probably had a hand pick on when he got drafted that year. And I don't think that they're just like, hey, remember this guy that you loved? No, we're just going to swap him out with this rookie. Then if
So
you
we're
look
just back to completely dismissing Tank Bigsby. Is that
well,
the
I was
deal?
going to get there too, right? Because if you're going to say, hey, like, what are the roles that these guys are going to have for the team? In a worst case, even if you say that, all right, ETN is washed, he's not going to be your first and second down guy. He's still a pass catcher, 2023, 73 targets. Like, that can play. He has questions about his pass blocking, but you know what? Tootin also has questions about pass blocking as well. So are they going to trust a rookie that they maybe don't feel great about with pass protection when Trevor Lawrence has been getting banged up? You don't want to necessarily see that. And to your point, Tank Bigsby, he started off last year when he first came in really hot. Wheels fall off a little bit, but he's a strong backup player. He's going to be that more like plotter for that offense. So it's like when you have a guy that's 5'9" with pass block issues, fumbles a lot, where is he going to be in that offense year one? I don't necessarily see it. It gives me a lot of similarities to like Jalen Wright or who was drafted last year for Green Bay. The name just slipped my mind. He ended up getting hurt quite a bit. But,
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
That
Yeah,
guy.
him.
Yeah,
Marshawn Lloyd.
we just talk Marshawn Lloyd. There you go. We just talk football for fun. So we don't
Right.
even know these things. But yeah, so it's just for me, like I don't necessarily see it. Tune ADP 126. So I mean, it's not like it's like this crazy 5th, 6th round sort of thing. But I mean, if you're looking at the players there, like you could take a chance on maybe like a Tajay Spears, who we've seen it before. You're one injury to Tony Pollard away from Spears having a bell cow role. And I would take that over somebody that's like, oh, like rookie fever kind of thing.
Yeah, I just wonder if they're going to subscribe to the whole basically Tank gets the ball on downs 1 and 2 and that's it. And then ETN comes in and they don't care that they're telegraphing the fact that ETN's probably going to catch the ball. And that Tank's just going to run the ball because Tank also has cinder blocks for hands. So he's not catching anything out of the backfield. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because Tootin would need some things to really go his way in order to find himself a consistent spot in that lineup.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see.
Okay, my number 2. Well, I'm gonna get hate mail out of this one.
Wait, you can talk about a Steeler or something?
Huh?
You can talk about a Steeler or something?
No, not hate mail from you.
No, it would be an Instagram message anyway. I don't have stamps.
Let's pump the brakes. Or at least I am, and you feel free to follow suit. Let's pump the brakes on Travion Henderson.
Ooh, man! Oh man, that's spicy. That's spicy. I need to hear about this one.
Why.
I need to hear about this. I'm sitting here. I need to know.
Okay, so Ramondre Stevenson still under contract.
And he just got paid too.
I will say right off the bat that if he has fumbling issues again, then forget everything I'm about to say.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I looked up some stats on that, and the last like handful of players who've led the league in fumbles like in 1 year have had like minimal fumbling the next season. It's such a random stat, and it's hilarious.
Well, you never know how many times it gets just knocked out. I mean, it's not like you're just walking and drop the ball.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway, so Ramondre's still got he's under contract through 28, but they have an out before 27. And so there's going to be they're going to be on the hook for some money for this year and for next year. So I don't see him just disappearing off the face of the earth. And he's too strong a runner and pass catcher to do neither. Now, I don't know for sure which one of them is going to have which role. Right now, everybody assumes that Travion is going to start as the pass catching back and use that explosiveness to make some big plays down the field. Although Henderson, he didn't have as a senior, he only had 27 catches. That's not terribly impressive, and I know the college season is shorter. But at the same time, Ramondre's had over 27 every year of his career, and last year had 69. Or the most he's ever had was 69. I think last year he had 68. But so it's one of those things where you're gonna have to work pretty hard to get Ramondre out of the way. Unless he does it to himself, I think this again is, like I said about Tyrone Tracy, one of those things where he's not just sitting back and letting a rookie come in and take his job. And we all know Henderson is explosive, and obviously we're talking about redraft, not dynasty.
Sure.
He's a great pick for dynasty. I just don't know if this year Travion is going to perform the way people are drafting him, because they're drafting him like he's going to be their RB2. And I'm not
ADP is 64 right now. ADP of 64 is kind of insane.
Yeah, ADP of 54 is yeah. So he's not just going to walk right past Ramondre. Ramondre's not going to just give up the job. Now, Antonio Gibson, on the other hand, I don't think will make it through training camp. I think he's as good as done. I'm pretty sure they're not on the hook for any money for him, and if they are, it's like a Benjamin.
Right.
But
the only way that he would make the team is for like a special teams thing, but
right. And if they needed a pass catcher, but now you've got two guys that can run inside and can catch balls. So I think Antonio Gibson, God rest his soul. Man, he has been the bane of my fantasy existence for so long. And it's not even because I draft him. It's because I'm always thinking about it, and then I'm really glad I didn't. And I feel bad for the people that did take him. But Ramondre is going to be fine. At the very least, maybe Henderson gets catches out of the backfield. But I can't even put him in a goal line situation because that's Ramondre's bread and butter. So it's going to take some serious work or injury or fumbleitis to take that job away from Ramondre.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. It's interesting seeing how hyped this rookie draft was for the running backs, and that's really shown in the ADP of best ball drafts this summer. I'm really curious to see like if that, as you get more news as far as like, hey, like this rookie isn't going to be the starter, this and that, even though they have that pedigree, how is that going to change when we get into August, September for redraft season? But
right,
the 60s feels high. Like it's like, would you rather have Henderson this year or somebody like James Conner, who's proven to be kind of like that workhorse year after year? It's like, I don't know. Kamara's only a couple.
Meanwhile, Trey Benson's ADP keeps rising. I think it went up another 4 points this week.
Yeah.
And I think it should. I think the idea of James Conner going a full year without injury again is like, I'll eat my hat.
I feel like I've heard you say this a few times now.
I have.
Need you to get some more hats, man. This is scary.
That's my go-to. It's my go-to.
All right.
All right. How about your number 3? I'll do a number 3 and we'll take it home.
All right. So this one is like a full hater pick. This is
All
like a
right,
full
hater.
this is a full hater pick. Like I just had a lot of beef dating back to the national championship in 2024. This is when my vendetta for this player started. Okay. So
I really liked that game.
the game was fine. It was the pregame that killed me. Right? So it was all the pregame stuff. So my pump that breaks last pick of the night is going to be JJ McCarthy. Okay?
Ooh.
Yeah. So as soon as I walk onto the field in my bare feet before a game so that I could get grounded with the earth, I was like, you're not going to make it as an NFL quarterback. TJ Watt would love to get you grounded with the earth. Let me get you lined up with Kyle Hamilton one time. Let me just have Joey Bosa just drop you on your back. You can get as grounded as you want, my boy. But if you look at the projections for McCarthy, like it's pretty intense for effectively what is his rookie season coming off of a major injury, right? So if you look at the stats, he's projected to throw for over 4,000 yards, almost 30 touchdowns, and then he's also expected to run about 54 times, 55 times, which to me feels extremely aggressive. Now, if we look at that draft class, everybody that was a part of that draft class has more or less been gold, right? So Caleb had his flashes. Drake May had his flashes. We saw what Bo Nix could do last year. Penix had those games at the end of the year that giving people hope. So it's like, all right, like he's one of those guys too, right? Like he should fit into that. The one thing that doesn't have me in full out hater mode is I really think that Kevin O'Connell is like a fantastic head coach, and what he's been able to squeeze out of some of the rocks that he's had to deal with, it's been phenomenal. So if you look at kind of what he did with some of the random backups that he had and they were able to do things, look at the money that he just got Sam Darnold, who we all thought was going to be just like a broken thing that wasn't going to be anything. That man just got $150 million and he should probably give like at least half of that to Kevin O'Connell. Right. So for me, it's just like to immediately have this rookie who doesn't really have like the rushing upside. You're basically banking on that offense with the weapons that they have. Obviously, it's a great offense. So you have Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson going to be healthy this year. So on paper, it's like, oh yeah, like if you say that Jefferson's a top 3 receiver, if Addison is a top 20 wide receiver, if Hawkinson is a top 5 tight end, well, the guy throwing the ball to them probably should be in that conversation. But I think outside of Jefferson, I think everyone else in that team is going to get overdrafted. They're going to protect the ball. If you look at like the weaknesses of like McCarthy's game, when you look back to the scouting from 2024, he doesn't layer his passes well. He doesn't really have like touch as a passer. He has a lot of arm strength, but he doesn't necessarily have that finesse to his game, right? So it's one of those things for me where it's like if I'm looking at like quarterbacks in that range, people are like, oh, like I'm sour on Jordan Love, who played all of last season, busted up. And that's why Green Bay ran so much last year. When you look when he was healthy, they threw the ball like crazy. I think Jordan Love, 2 years removed from, or I guess 1 year removed from a top 5 fantasy finish. I would take that all day. Now, if McCarthy was a runner, I'd feel a lot differently about it because he has that upside, but he's projected to run about as much as Joe Burrow, but he's not throwing Joe Burrow touchdowns. So pump the brakes a little bit for me. And I'm just going to continue to be a hater.
You know, I think it's interesting with JJ too, that it took until shortly before the preseason, before people were starting to change their mind and say, well, you know what, maybe JJ McCarthy is pretty good, you know, other than a couple rumblings before the draft of he could go number 1, you know.
Sure, yeah.
That's just people pontificating. But it's almost like it's working the opposite of how it's supposed to work. You just had an injury that put you out for an entire year. And instead of making that people question whether you're going to be ready when you actually are a rookie, so to speak, Instead of doing that, it's just like it gave everybody carte blanche to spend the whole year talking about it and convincing themselves that he is going to absolutely like go scorched earth on the NFL.
Yeah. And if you look
But
at what he did at Michigan, like obviously the team won the national championship. I think winning matters, and I think we overlook that sometime for like upside. He has the arm strength. He obviously led that offense. He has that like clutch factor, I think. Like when you saw him in pressure situations, he did deliver. But is he going to be a volume passer in this league year one? Probably not. Aaron Jones is probably going to get the rock. They're probably going to give him some easy passes and stuff like that. But if you look at like when Sam Darnold was successful last year, it was like he was basically money for 2 or 3 touchdown passes every game. And then eventually that kind of dried up too. So I think it's going to take a lot. I just don't see it. And like I said, hater. So I'll own that, and that's fine.
Jamie, if Sam Darnold can do it, so can Sam Howell. Just saying.
Yeah. Sam Howell run the ball too.
Okay, I've got one more. If you liked my Travion Henderson pick,
I'm scared.
I've got another one. I don't think this one's going to surprise as many people, but they don't like hearing it. I know they don't like hearing it. Pump the brakes on Omari and Hampton.
Woo! Oh man, you went from the second round. Now we're talking first round, guys. Oh man, I'm glad I'm sitting down. I'm glad I'm not like a stand-up show kind of guy because I might have fell over.
Okay, so of the people that I have mentioned, I think Hampton is going to get, the most play. But do I think he's going to walk in and just start over Najee? I don't. Do I think that I saw today there were some rumors that maybe Najee's on the trading block, and they're just that. They're rumors. I think Bleacher Report.
Who are you going to trade that's on a 1-year deal that like they would have just signed him?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, I guess if somebody gets an injury,
maybe, but not now.
Closer to training camp, but yeah, I think it's you look at Najee, and Najee's never had less than 255 carries.
No, he hasn't even missed a game in his career. That dude doesn't get hurt. He
hasn't missed a game in his career. Has rushed for, I know 1,000 yards isn't that impressive anymore now that we have 17 games.
Yeah, first player to do it each of his first 4 seasons, which is shocking.
Yeah. First four seasons, he just turned 27. So it's not like he's, James Conner old. But he last year career highs 307 carries. So he hit that magic 300 mark. He had 1,200 yards, career high. So he's only gotten better. Also, I mean, that was his last year. It was a contract year. And, he put up 307 carries for 1,200 yards, X number of catches. And now he gets a 1-year deal for $5.25 million. So he's in a contract year again.
Yeah.
So you best believe he's going to want to come out and put his best foot forward, because at 27, he still thinks he can get a 2-year deal out of somebody after this. If not at least 3. Especially if he's able to put up 1,000 again, and he's reliable.
Sure.
Like you said, he doesn't miss games. He was able to coexist with Jaylen Warren, without sacrificing a whole lot of work to Jaylen Warren. They worked that duo out very, very well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the
Um,
thing too with Najee is that I don't think what people appreciate about him going to the Chargers is that is a perfect scheme fit for Najee. Whatever they were doing in Pittsburgh this past season, it was not a good fit for him. It was much better for Jalen, but that zone running scheme that Artie Smith wants to run, Caleb Johnson's perfect for that actually, which I'm really excited about. But it does not fit Najee's game at all. What Harbaugh puts in and what Roman puts in, it's a Najee based offense. If they can keep him from dancing in the backfield, I think he's gonna have a really strong output this year for sure.
yeah, I think so too. And I do think Omarion's still going to get plenty of play. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
first round pick, like Joe said. He had 67 catches combined in his last two seasons, sophomore and junior seasons in college. So he can certainly catch the ball. So maybe they're going to start him out in that Jalen Warren sort of situation, and maybe do some more tricky stuff with him too.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll run him out there and make the defense think they're going to throw him the ball, and he's going to end up carrying it. So he's still going to get play. I'm just saying, for redraft,
ADP
this
of 46
year,
is crazy.
I don't think you can count on him being like your RB1. There's people just missing Najee Harris, and I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, in that range of players, it's like you have Hampton next closest RBs like 5 or 6 picks away with Chuba Hubbard. I would take Chuba this year, honestly. Rico Dowdle doesn't scare me. Hampton could be a strong end of the season player depending on how the season shakes, but it's too rich for my blood. I'd rather miss out and have some more sure things, or like go get Kittle before you get into tight end wasteland. It just
Right.
pick 46 is absurd to me for an ADP for someone that's going to.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't know that Najee on a 1-year deal is going to get traded to anybody before the season. But if Omarion is really showing that he's ready to take a load, they might shop him around at the trade deadline for somebody that's had an injury in the backfield, that
Maybe, yeah.
needs a little extra boost, or needs, at the very least, some veteran leadership, and somebody to, give somebody a breath, a breather every once in a while. That could happen. So, all right, we're right up against it, Joe. Any final thoughts for the peoples?
No, just if you're looking to hear some more spicy takes from me, a couple places you can find me. Sam already said at JOEFRK on pretty much any platform. That's been kind of my go-to handle since I think the 8th grade. Or you can find me on Reddit at user Joey Hustle. I host the Around the 412 Fantasy Football Show on Wednesdays with my boy Drew. And then I'm also the director for social media and marketing for the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. So if you're looking at just kind of like no politics, no crazy, no nothing, just talking ball and having good vibes, give the network a check out. And yeah, man, this was awesome. So glad to whip it up. My neck will be sore. My heart will be full. It was a great time.
Absolutely. And I hope to join you on From the Forum again sometime. Joe and I, you can see us on camera every once in a while for sure.
And if you'd rather not look at my face, I know Spotify and those other things great also exist. So that's always nice too.
Yes, and thank you, Joe, because I wanted to remind everybody that down in the info block of this video has all the links to our stuff for the website, the stuff that's free, the stuff that's behind a paywall, some of the draft dominators in there, which is really cool. But also, we are also on a podcast network, and you can find that information in there as well. So you can listen to us while you walk around and do dishes or whatever.